What's going on, gamers? So we got the full interview here from Christopher Dring with Matthew Ball coming from, Xbox as a chief strategy officer. The interesting thing here is I fast forwarded past the stuff with him getting up and he was talking so we can get to the good stuff. I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen this part to where I know we need to get to. He makes some interesting responses here that I think are very interesting. One, he thinks the Xbox hardware is dead, right? That's interesting. Two, their exclusive strategy is going to be the same every year, kind of like the way Asha was saying things, but they want to choose like 2 games or maybe more if it turns out to be profitable, right? But here's the thing. After what she admitted, how much they are in the Cinco, like the 20 billion, not even counting the Activision Blizzard acquisition, I don't see how that's going to be possible in the long term. And then we're going to get to probably eventually the Xbox Helix and how it's going to be hard to focus on manufacturing Xbox consoles because they're not going to choose, as I was telling you before, that hardware over the AI because Microsoft is focused on that mainly. And if you're going to spend a bunch of money on components, it's not going to be to feed Xbox hardware. It's going to be to feed AI because that's where they're making the most money at too, with data centers and Azure. So from a Microsoft standpoint, it doesn't make sense to make the hardware some main part of the focus. That's going to be publishing, and then of course trying to play some, I guess, half-ass exclusive game. That's what I want to call it, because it's like, I don't know why you're doing that anyways. And then deciding what else they want to do, because Game Pass is obviously failing, and it failed. So how are they going to turn that around, right? Because they lost so many after that stupid price hike. We're going to find out in this interview and get some answers. So let me know what you guys think. Become a member. Leave a tip down below. Here we go. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Right now, I can't tell you what I would write, even if I wanted to. But we'll see.
If anyone hasn't read it, it's a fascinating report.
Thank you.
You were on the show earlier in the year talking about it. Okay, let's talk exclusives. Xbox announced yesterday that Gears of War on Clockwork Revolution will be console exclusive. Explain to me what games are going to be console exclusive going forward and which ones might we still see on PlayStation and Nintendo.
So I can tell you how we're thinking about it. We have an internal framework and a strategy that we're using to approach exclusives on and off platform. I'll start with a quick recap. We announced yesterday that there were 2 titles, one coming this year, one coming next year. Doing 2 titles was important. We could have announced Clockwork was going to be exclusive later at the end of the year when we got closer and closer to the 25th anniversary. We could have kicked off 2027 by talking about that as an exclusive. It was important for us to include 2 titles so that people understood this was not a one-off. It was not a commemorative. We were not saying it's our 25th anniversary, it's Gears' 20th anniversary, we're returning to Xbox, here's an exclusive. This is the start of a program, and players can expect a reliable pipeline that validates their historical investment in the Xbox platform, keeps them as Xbox players going forward, and everyone in the industry understands that exclusives are important to the growth and branding of that platform.
Yeah, but that's if you're trying to sell hardware and get a huge install base. You're not doing that. And you admitted that you don't have the components. Asha admitted how tough it is. You're already saying that about the Helix. That's already in trouble. You're not subsidizing. You can't outsell the Switch 1. So why are you doing exclusives if you don't plan on moving millions and millions of Xbox hardware units? This is where I don't get about this company. Why they're just confused and lost. The whole point of exclusives is for your platform only. But you can't play that game. You don't have the install base, and everybody's trying to get something day one on Game Pass. So why take it off of PlayStation then? It's a serious question. It's like, what's the point then if you're not going to make the hardware sell?
We've also said publicly that there's a series of titles, predominantly those that are designed for large live service multiplayer platforms, COD being the best example, are going to remain non-exclusive. We have a third bucket of titles, those titles that we have previously announced or previously committed with our partners, with players, with teams, that we've decided to maintain those commitments. That is important to us as we migrate through this 4th area. And that is, Asha has been clear that our business today is not healthy. She's been clear that we are turning around the business. Every day we are going to come more and more outwards about.
You know what's so funny about that? You remember certain people, Xbox is doing better than ever? I was like, oh, you mean worse than ever? And Xbox Game Pass is making so much profit. And they were showing you all these fake numbers and all this, and it was all made up. And like, now you finally get some people that are actually at least being honest. At least he's saying that, and at least Asha's saying that. That's one thing I do like about them.
what we're doing, why we're doing it. And the reason why I say that is today I can't give you a more comprehensive answer. Here are all of the titles that players can expect this year, next year, and thereafter that are going to be exclusive. We know what those are going to be. We know how we're going to make those decisions. We know how we're going to be evaluated against those decisions. But what's important there is that framework has to be external eventually. Everyone in this audience is an expert, an aficionado of the field, and I understand why they are saying we still don't quite get it. We have to communicate that internally.
Neither do you.
We have to communicate that to our partners. But then most of all, at the end of the day, the average player, the average current Xbox player, and the player that we want but don't have today have to understand it very simply. That's where we're going. We're just not ready to do it yet.
I was going to ask, what makes Clockwork Revolution an Xbox console exclusive?
Like you said, it's going to take some time. This is not something to snap your finger to have overnight. Publishing is all you pretty much have that has not failed, because you monopolized for it. This is what I want you guys to think about what he's saying. Game Pass failed. It's not successful. Xbox hardware failed. The Xbox generation failed. If you mess up your publishing, it's over. You can't mess that up. That's why you got to be careful with this exclusive game. This is why they're kind of like nitpicking with it. You can't fail as a publisher. That's the only thing Microsoft has not failed at. And the only reason they're able to even stay relevant as a publisher is because they monopolize for Activision to boost up their publishing with Call of Duty stats. And all the other games Activisions have too. Look at the Spyro results. And look at Bethesda. Though they're not selling nowhere near. But imagine not having that. That would be, I don't know what to tell you. And even then, that wasn't done correctly. That has to be multi-platform.
Exclusive, but not Senua. But I guess is that because of those commitments you talked about to teams and that before you made that decision?
No further comment.
No.
So he was asking him why Gears and Clockwork, but not Senua. You know what I mean? I guess he doesn't want to say why. Not like it matters.
We'll move on then. Well, isn't the console sector dying? Isn't it? Isn't it all about PC and multi-platform and meeting gamers where they are?
So the answer to your latter question is yes. The first one is no. So I'm very on the record, as most people kind of agree. The reality is most players and most revenue is on mobile. Second to that, we have the most hours and the most players on PC, but less revenue than on console. Console is a $40 to $45 billion business. Is it growing as fast as PC or mobile? No. Are there as many hours? No. Is my bet that that platform is substantially larger tomorrow or in 28 or in 29 than it is today? No. I think we have some great catalysts along the way. But we are still talking about hundreds of millions of players who spend 40 plus billion per year in a category that they love, that I love, that has iconic franchises attached. And more important to that, it is durable and valuable and important to us. We have no desire to move away from the console business. And dying, no, it's not declining. It is growing. It's going to have a great year this year.
If you're talking about PlayStation and Nintendo, sure. But you can't outsell the Switch 1 and it's 9 years old. Console is not growing at all. You're talking about Nintendo and PlayStation. And the only reason people include this mobile garbage nonsense and PC is because of these idle microtransactions. But what about publish and develop games for the industry that are actually selling millions and millions and millions of copies? Don't come at me with this microtransaction nonsense. It is garbage. If you remove that, you would be surprised about the real results of the gaming industry. That's why I said that's where Nintendo is superior by a mile. Because they're making their own games too. You remove microtransactions from Steam, it tanks down so bad it ain't even funny. All this stuff is just exploiting people and getting them to gamble online. If you realistically want to know how things are really working, it's Nintendo and PlayStation that are at the top, and then Steam, and then Xbox at just way, way at the bottom. I'm telling you right now, these free-to-play games, these gachas, and these microtransactions have made things look more better than you think it is. But as a matter of fact, it has caused a huge detriment to the gaming industry, because you would have liked to see it grow like that through actual supporting franchises and IPs. So you're supporting good developers too, not one game where you're dumping all these transactions into stupid memes and emotes and all this dumb stuff. It's garbage. You should be paying for actual real content where people are waking up every day to focus on real content, real end game, not giving you more vanity nonsense or trying to gate you.
As important is that we restore that business for us. Before we look beyond to those other platforms, do we need to get better at PC? Yes. Do we need to get better at mobile? Yes. At the same time, we can't ask publishers, partners, and especially players to bet on us on other platforms where we are behind, where our technology is inadequate, before we shore up the platform we have, the platform that many believe we have mistreated them on.
Do you think you can?
He admitted that. You know one thing I like about what he just said? Did you hear that? Mistreated our fans. Oh, they've been dumping on you. That's why I was like, man, I'm done. You ain't finna, I'm not backing this up anymore. I was coming there to be an equalizer. I said that before when I was supporting the Xbox community. But after what Microsoft did the past year and a half, I was like, oh, no, never again. Like, that type of disrespect is uncalled for. And then there's just straight AI feed. And it's still going to be that. These words sound good, but I've never seen any results here. And you already admitted you don't have the component materials to mass manufacture a lot of Xbox consoles because that's not your focus. Microsoft is focusing on AI components. Material. It's for AI. It's not for Xbox. You'll get whatever's left over. Remember how mad they were when Wayne went to South Korea last year and they didn't get that deal and they chose the other four and Microsoft was not part of it? It was Apple, Dell, Lenovo, and Asus. Google was also included after that, and they stormed off the building angry. It was always about the AI right now. It's not about Xbox hardware. They don't give a damn about that. These guys are just there to kind of smooth over the transition over time. And it's like, if anybody that's intelligent that can see through this knows this. It's about publishing more than anything.
Well, your market
not
share
hardware.
With this strategy?
Absolutely.
I'm from the UK. Xbox is pretty big in the UK. It does reasonably well, just as it does in the US. But the rest of Europe, not so much. Japan, not so much. So isn't this going to hold some of your games back from their global reach?
First and foremost, in every single one of those markets, PC tends to be the most popular gaming platform, at least for the titles that we're talking about right now. Windows is already where the world plays, and that's a very important slogan to the company. It's very important to Asha, and it is very much a rallying point for the company. We strongly encourage all players who want to play those titles to do so in those markets. At the same time, we are making an investment in our platform, the console platform, that is going to be strengthened by these exclusives. And so part of this is, of course, we are thinking about the full ecosystem. We love to invest in our publishers and our studios and our developers. We are trying to build a healthier business overall that in the short term, yes, there are going to be a few copies of titles A and B in this narrow window that are probably going to sell fewer. That's an investment we are making. That's a decision that our studios are behind because they all believe this puts us on a path to your question, which is, can we take market share? Can we grow? Can we be stronger? I believe the answer to all three of those questions is yes. And that will hold none of our franchises back over time.
This guy's good at talking, but you're not going to brainwash me. He just literally talked in circles too, talking about, yeah, pretty much go to PC. Like I said in the last video, and then but we want to invest into exclusives so that we can strengthen our hardware. You just admitted you don't have stock. Your generation has like a year left. Year and a half at most. You're not ready for the biggest launch in the world, GTA 6, because you want to feed AI. Why are you lying? But of course you have to say that. But like this is a con here. And that you think Gears of War as an exclusive that's going to fall off a cliff because of all these games are going to launch around it and before it this year. And people are going to be so stacked, it's going to be insane. And Clockwork somehow are going to make your hardware move. Like anybody wants to pay $600+ or $650 for an Xbox Series X. Who wants to buy your consoles? Europe doesn't care. Japan, it made you extinct. All you got is USA. But Nintendo's dominating there right now, big time. And then PlayStation. You haven't subsidized. You're not going to do a price drop. You admitted the component cost is now 4 to 5 times more expensive than before. So you're not dropping the price. I wouldn't be surprised if you did another one. but I hope you don't. So how are you going to tell me that the Xbox hardware is going to grow? I have not seen it on any sales results. It's all been getting worse and worse, and you couldn't even sell 100K last month. Switch 1 had 200K sold last month. It's like, I find that hard to believe. And I'm not mad at him. I'm just saying, this is just the Xbox world in general lately. It's like, how am I supposed to believe that?
We've spoken before about this because I know we're both console fans, and I do think some competition in the console space is important. I think
I do want that.
That's what had E360, PS3 Wii days, and everyone was innovating and pushing each other, and the overall sector grew. And I'm generally very pleased to see it happen. But you said to me back in February that you were pretty frightened, right? You were pretty frightened by the cost of RAM and what that would mean for consoles. And since we spoke, the PS5 price has gone up, the Steam Deck price has gone up, the Switch 2 price has gone up. Are you still pretty frightened?
More so. The simple answer here, and I think this is an area where we as a company are going to try and do a better job of articulating what that means. When you and I spoke, I think that was February, early February, had not even discussed joining here. I mean, Asha wasn't CEO yet, but that's an important time point or comparison. When I said I was pretty frightened about the DRAM crisis, I think that was the quote, I was overlooking the shortage of memory, or sorry, the shortage of storage. But the other thing is, at the time I had a lot of response. You ran it with the second headline, I think, right? We did a two-parter. So I had a lot of feedback. There was a lot of ball is being histrionic on Twitter. Usually not those terms, by the way, as you can imagine. The answer is, however many months, 6 months later, I was underestimating how bad it is. And I was underestimating how bad it was in February, and it has become significantly worse since. And I certainly understand the ways in which every single person in the industry is frustrated by that. It is bad for players. It is bad for the platforms. Our obligation in the industry to our publishers, who are partners, is to grow that base so that they can help grow their business at a time in which everyone is struggling for growth. The crisis is the right term. The crisis is not yet getting better. The window in which we and others are going to have to work through is getting longer, and that is going to constrain the category.
How much longer?
Well, the current estimates are at least, so let's talk about memory. The biggest challenge with memory right now is most of the consensus estimates say that the overall undersupply will be about 30 to 40% next year. So when you're
going to be selling 30 to 40% less consoles because your stock's going to drop down. Oh my God, imagine 100K, right? And we're not in the holidays. They didn't subsidize in the last holidays because this same company that's telling you that is also supporting the AI feed, so you don't have that. They're telling you it's going to be 30 to 40% less next year for Xbox hardware manufacturing. How are you playing the exclusive game? What is the point anymore? I don't get the point. Because like I said, by that time, the Helix will be around the corner and drop either in late 2027 or 2028. I think you have to push it back. Do you know how much consoles Microsoft was selling in the past year? Under 2 million. Year before that, almost the same thing. If you're going to drop that down too, then no sales are going to be garbage. How are you going to be able to support exclusives? You're going to need Game Pass and whatever else is left over after that. You see, this is what I'm saying. Why are you talking about growing hardware, but you're going to be 30 to 40% under, and every year console sales tank down, and more, and you're going to have less supply. Guys, I don't understand the point. I don't get it then. Like I said, it's not about Xbox hardware. Like I said, Xbox consoles are dead. Xbox is dead. That's what I mean. I'm talking about the hardware here. I'm talking about Game Pass, like literally the identity and everything. I know they want to revive it, but how when it's worse than ever and you just admitted you're not going to have the components? Because there's no way those components that you're getting are going to be catered towards it. I'll let you know. No. Remember when the video said we're sacrificing 30, 40% or ever of the GPUs? Why? They had it. They wanted to feed the AI. They're doing the same thing because they're all doing this. Don't be naive.
Looking across the big tech ecosystem and the tens or hundreds of billions cumulatively that is being spent on CapEx, that is despite the fact that there is 30 to 40% fewer pieces available to build what they want to build. Now, the entire system is marshaling to get around that. The Chinese ecosystem is rapidly onboarding production capacity, but we are still at a point in time in which a lot of work needs to be done to meet that. We are in a situation now, and I get this, I see this on Twitter, a lot of people are complaining about a lack of supply of Xbox consoles. I can tell you definitively, demand for our console exceeds the supply. We are putting them in as many stores as possible. We are producing them as quickly as possible. There is a severe limitation to how quickly we can do that, but it's not a question of appetite. We need to do more, but there are constraints.
Bro, the Switch 1 doubled your sales and has been outselling you since last year, easily. I don't call that an appetite if you're getting outsold by that.
Here. And so there are unfortunately a number of different markets in which we do not have supply. There are other markets in which we have inadequate supply. That is a privilege as a company. It is a challenge for us to figure out.
So this is definitely going to impact the next generation then?
Is it going to impact the next generation? Yes. But I'll tell you a few different things. Number one is we are working very hard to rethink everything that we can about Helix, which is a console we are committed to shipping. And we are very cognizant of the ways in which we need to change as a company to make sure it is affordable, to make sure that it is flexible. We are working hard to rethink what that console model can look like, not in an exclusionary way, but in an additive way, so that as we take a look at this crisis, which may have acute effects for 2 years, 2.5 years, beyond that it's hard to speculate, but the cascade and ripple will endure. We are working very hard to figure out the best way to navigate it for a way that works for everyone, that does not ask too much from players, but also doesn't detract from the other investments that we need to make as a company.
I think Sakana revealed that, a few months ago now, revealed that over half of console buyers in the US are $100,000 plus households. It's becoming prohibitive for a lot of people. It's not a question. It's just
So we can stop here on this part of the interview, but what he just said about Xbox Helix is very important. He just lets you know that it's not going to be a launch that's we're going to have millions and millions. And I try to tell everybody that. And that when it comes to component costs, we need to be very careful because right now we're not going to do that. So it's definitely going to get pushed back possibly. Or if they want to release it, it's going to be very expensive. And if you want to have flexible models, you need to have a cheaper model. So now you're going to have to work on those component materials as well. And try to get the price range in somewhere to look like it's attractive, right? He's telling you it like it's not getting any better, and that it's so bad that it's going to affect all the way to the Helix launch. So this gives you the idea that this is going to be going on for quite some time, and that makes me kind of worry about the PS6. I got to do a separate video about that. So we get a lot of answers here that are letting you know when it comes to Xbox hardware, don't have high hopes. And he said for the next 2 years after that, right? Yeah, that's an if. You never know with this company. They could shut that down. So I think to me, Xbox Helix is going to be the least sold Xbox of all time. If it gets 10 million sales, that would actually be good. I kind of feel like it's in the Steam machine situation before it launches. I'm being serious. And it's kind of like not going to be something that's going to be mandatory. And now more than ever, people are going to ignore it. It won't give people the same energy as even the Series X or S, because you kind of feel like at least that was a generation that could have competed in a certain sense, where you felt like there would have been some 360 energy, but it wasn't even close. And that there was too many mistakes happening. And now you just have all the AI people there telling you all this stuff, but they're in a position that's so hard. I can't see these people coming in with like the gaming industry, like they have some soul and understand the gaming industry so well that they're going to make a turnaround, and these are going to be the people to take over and beat the Japanese and beat Sony and Nintendo. Yeah, right. Not even close. I just don't see how that's possible. You're not in a position to ever even be where you could even get 40 to 50 million install base. So how are you going to do this and play that exclusive game? It never was about true exclusives. This game right here, this game is about having day one Game Pass on Xbox and having some exclusives to hope to move some hardware, and having Steam give you your sales if you don't want to include PlayStation. But you see that was only 1 or 2 games. The rest consistently are going on PlayStation and Nintendo. It's not a is that going to happen? It's quite clear. He's making it quite clear. When it comes to hardware, man, I don't know what to tell you. And it would be bad for him to say that it's dead. Though, I mean, look at VG charts. They give you everything.
It's a challenge.
But I'll use this to come back to the exclusives bit a little bit, which is, for the last while, it has become difficult to articulate why you should pick an Xbox console. Players have told us that. I think everyone in the audience understood that. Exclusives are an important way to do that. We as a company, and this is why you have seen such a quick shift to exclusives, and again, why it was important for us to do 2 titles, not just 1, is we need to ask people to spend a lot of money today to become an Xbox player.
There you go. My point exactly. And he's making it quite clear it's not going to happen. I want to do a separate part for this because now this video is really long. And, you know, usually people don't watch 25 minutes of a video. So we'll have to do that separately to talk about another aspect of this. There's a lot to talk about here. And I want you guys to let me know what you think. Become a member. Leave a tip down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts, please. Thank you for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Definitely through all the stuff I've been going through. Much love, guys. Keep on gaming.